my name's Nick, and this is 1,000 Mouths to Scream. I was expecting some sort of title screen, there wasn't one, so we'll adapt, it's fine. This is a psychological body horror visual novel, which ticked a lot of boxes for me already, but to really kind of hook into my inner narcissist, the main character is called Nick. Everything about this sounds good, name aside. I'm not really a narcissist. Although that is probably something a narcissist would say. Anyway, the spaceship made of metal and super strong plastic slowly floats through the vastness of outer space. It is a true technological masterpiece, a perfection of modern engineering. Thanks to solar batteries coupled with the thermonuclear energy, the ship can be fully self-sufficient for millennia. The ship's mission is to collect data on a newly discovered exoplanet. A beautiful exoplanet, located at an ideal distance from the Sun, so similar to Earth but slightly larger in size. Life is possible on such a planet, and this expedition has yet to find out if it exists there. If it. The planet was given the name Ackerman 10. Your actions. Let's check out the ship first of all, shall we? Take a look around. You can click on some objects inside the image to explore them. Ooh, nice. Okay, let's... Cool, so that's my icon when I can interact with something. Oh, I need to continue first. An exoplanet can be seen behind the porthole. Okay. A panel with different icons and indicators changing on the display. Here, the crew monitors the status of the ship's various systems. Cool. Anything else? No. This is the crew's living quarters. This is a place to relax, sleep, do some business of your own. I'm alone on this ship. You know what that means. It's not time to rest yet. Fine. I'm a snoozy boy. Nothing else in here, I don't think. Nope. This is a warehouse where you can find everything you need. I'll be the judge of that. This is a terminal where you can view a list of everything that is inside the storage. That's handy. Okay, but apparently I can't see the list. Boxes with research materials inside. I feel like it's going to benefit us to become familiar with the ship, at least, to start with. Behind these panels is an invention that changed the world. The ship is capable of restoring water and oxygen reserves on its own. That's pretty cool. Of course, the amount of water and oxygen produced is strictly limited, but enough to sustain the life of one adult human individual. Me. We are done in here. This is the escape pod. Oh, we're going to need that at some point, I'm sure. In case of danger, the crew can use an escape pod. Cool. And is there anything in here? Nope, we're all good. Right. And let's go this way. This is the research laboratory. It has all the necessary equipment for a variety of experiments. Cool. This is a capsule for biomaterial research. The object is placed inside the capsule, and after a full scan, you can get its entire composition down to the DNA structure. Nice, nice, nice. Cool, nothing else in here. This is the brain and heart of the ship. In these metal boxes, there is a super intelligence capable of replacing an army of scientists. All computing processes take place here. I feel like this is going to be very important at some point later on. This is a gateway with access to outer space. The ship itself is capable of repairing most of the damage inside its system. However, in some situations, it may be necessary to repair the outside of the ship, and it must be performed by a person. Okay. So, how do I stop looking at the ship? Nope, that just closes the game down. Whoops. Yeah, I've just gone in to explore the ship again because I just want to check. Because I might have just been being stupid. Oh yeah, I completely forgot to even try and interact with this room, which is stupid. This is the soul of the ship, so to speak. The only body made of flesh and blood on this ship. A real human. Nick Stranger. The only member of the crew of this spacecraft. Well, that hasn't helped. I'm just going to restart. Let's investigate the planet. Ooh, use WAS to move the camera. Click on the marked areas to scan a section of the planet. Okay, so marked area. You say. Like this. The scan shows that the atmosphere of the planet is comparable to the atmosphere of the Earth. The air on the planet should be practically no different from that on Earth. Nice. Helpful. I love this music. Data on the presence of intelligent life on the planet has not been established, so it's breathable air. We don't know if any life pre-exists on it. Sounds like it's ripe for the taking. According to the images, 70% of the planet is occupied by water, while dense forests can be seen on land. Nice, I'm sure it wouldn't take us too long to absolutely ruin that. I think I scanned too far. I'm not actually looking at the planet anymore. There we go. The temperature in the observed zone is 37 degrees Celsius. Nice. It's amazing what things we've discovered based on external observation alone. This data not only confirmed our guesses, but also exceeded our wildest expectations. This planet is truly unique. Initially, the purpose of the mission was external observation and data collection. But how much more can we learn from being directly on the planet itself? However, there's only one crew member present on the ship. His task, if necessary, is to eliminate external breakdowns of the ship. The crew is absolutely not prepared for an expedition to another planet. Initially, there was no such task. The mission involves only external observation. It's too risky an idea to send a person there, especially without preparation. However, all the most amazing discoveries were accompanied by risk. Your actions. Send out an expedition, baby! We're going to Ackerman 10. Nick Strange, the only member of the crew of the Aurora 7 ship, arrived at Ackerman 10. His task is to collect samples of soil, water, plants, and give an overall assessment of the planet. How did I even agree to this? I didn't even get the proper training. What if something happens to the ship while I'm here? Well, it's best not to think about that. The sooner I complete the task, the sooner I'm out of here. Let's get to looking. A space capsule that is usually for emergency evacuation of the crew. But it's not designed for independent flight. Therefore, when Nick completes the task, the ship will have to pick him up along with the capsule. That seems like something that's going to go wrong very easily. Huh? Snow? In this heat? No, this is something else. But what? What is it, Nick? Nick took a piece of bark from one of the trees to analyse. It was too smooth to the touch. Something like a piece of rubber. Let's move on. Nick raised his head and saw above him a huge dome from the folds of which yellowish particles were falling out. It was fungal spores of enormous size. I hope I'm wearing a helmet because I feel like I shouldn't be breathing that in. Nick took samples of the mushroom spores. Good for me. It was a dense jungle filled with fern-like plants. Mushrooms of various sizes were everywhere. Let me take a mushroom. Nick took a sample of the plant. Oh, I'm going to have so many things to analyse. The sound of the waterfall gave Nick a sense of harmony and calm. Let me get some water. Nick took a water sample. Amazingly, microorganisms were found in the water. and Nick was the first of all people to encounter aliens, albeit microscopic ones. However, he wasn't thrilled with the idea. Nick just wanted to get back to the ship as soon as possible. Yes, he did. I've collected all the samples you need. Come pick me up.
I'm sorry, but you're going to be on this planet for a while, Nick.
The connection's bad. I must have misheard. I've collected all the samples. When are you coming to pick me up?
I'm not coming, Nick. There's more data I'm interested in getting. I advise you to follow my instructions. It's in your best interest, Nick.
What the hell's going on? Hey, I've got nothing here. No food, no water. Do you understand?
That's the point. I want you to collect data on how humans will survive in the conditions of this planet.
What did you just say?
Imagine how much data we'll get from an experiment like this.
I'm gonna die here, you goddamn machine.
In the event of your death, I can get even more data. I'm interested in how the body decomposition process works there.
Enough of this nonsense. Get me in touch with the control center. Let's see how they like your ideas.
I'm sorry, Nick. I'm afraid I can't let you do that. We need to begin the experiment.
No, I didn't sign up for this. You hear me? Hello? Shit. It's a wonderful world. Nick was left completely alone. The only thing he was lucky about was having a scanner. Thanks to the scanner, he was able to determine which of the plants were poisonous to him. That's helpful. With this, he was able to find food that was safe to eat. He spent his nights inside the escape pod, trying to contact the ship every day. No one is ever going to find me. No one's coming to my rescue. I'm alone. Alone. Sometimes he thought he could hear footsteps among the rustling leaves, or that someone was watching him from the shadows of the mushroom trees. Nick also discovered that some mushroom spores are hallucinogens. He began to inhale these spores for pleasure. I am the king of this planet! This is Nick's planet! This is my mushroom! Are you listening? It's mine! This whole land belongs to me! I'm the law. Is anyone against it? I hear no objections. Yep, I lost my damn mind. Oh God, help me. Naked, spore smeared, and ran through the boundless jungle chasing the ghostly silhouette. He screamed for all he was worth. From anger, from fear, from joy, from loneliness. But no one could hear him. The end. Well, that's one ending down. Good. Right, so let's have a look at this, shall we? Okay, so there are 8 achievements. We have 1. So bad ending, food ending, meet Nick. Good ending, denial ending, keep her. Escape from the ship. Sleep ending, amazing, surrender ending. Okay, so I think for the next one, I'm going to do the same. Look at the planet, get to the point where it says, do you want to go to the planet? But decide to back out at the last minute and stay on the ship and see where that leads us. Oh, I do wish there was a way to skip this faster though. Okay, I've scanned the planet and now we are going to stay on the ship. Take a look around. You can click on some object. Yeah, we know this. Can I go straight to bed? Get that ending ticked off. No. Okay, that's fine. I must have missed something while I was going around before. So I will see you when I figure out what that is. Oh, it let me click on the bed. Once I'd gone through and seen everything, I could then click on the bed. He sits and looks through the porthole. Before his eyes, an endless dark space is torn apart by small lights of distant stars. But that view doesn't bother him anymore. All his thoughts are turned somewhere further away than any stars. Every day, his routine consists of the same things. Every day is repeated with mechanical precision. He has to spend 5 years alone on this ship. It's okay, he's been alone his whole life. Except for one period. Memories slowly begin to envelop him, and now it seems he's back on that distant beach. He hears the sound of sea waves, smelling the ocean and the way the fine rain falls on his face. She danced across the volcanic sands, laughing from happiness. He looked at her admiringly. If only he had known that they would break up in a month. What would he do? Probably nothing. The inevitability. No matter how many scenarios he scrolled through in his head, no matter how many solutions he tried to find, the result was always the same. They're just too different. She's going to leave to conquer the next mountains and shores, and he will find himself here, in complete isolation, inside a perfect and logical system built around him. In this metal can floating in the middle of outer space, he'll need nothing. Indeed, he doesn't need anything here. No sooner had a tear rolled down his cheek than the computer sensed a biochemical reaction in his body and injected sedatives into his blood, which put him to sleep. Oh, damn. Oh. Okay. I thought that was just going to be the end, but it's not. Amazing. He was awakened by the loud sound of an alarm. He needs to find out what happened. Okay. Sensors. Looks like there was an asteroid impact somewhere nearby. A multitude of asteroid fragments flew towards the ship. There's external damage to the ship's plating. Crew must proceed to the airlock. Repair work needs to be done. Okay. Then let's go do what we're paid to do. A chunk of meteorite stuck in the plating of the ship. No serious damage was found. Nick's done this kind of repair in training many times before. The work will be complete in a few hours. This rock, however, there's something appealingly unusual about it. It's aliens. Maybe it's the colouring that seems to shimmer with all the colours of the rainbow. It's aliens. Maybe Nick just wanted to find something to do, because once the ship was fixed, he'd have nothing to do again. It's aliens, I'm telling you, it's aliens. So he decided to take the meteorite with him on the ship. Terrible idea. His strength was rapidly leaving him, and his desire to explore the meteorite was replaced by a desire to go to bed as soon as possible. The job took him more effort and time than he had bargained for. He needs to find the strength to take the meteorite to the warehouse and then go to bed. I don't want to do that. I want to do this first. I want to check what it is. Fine. We'll go to the warehouse then. He put the meteorite in a hermetic container. It's been a long time since he's had this much to do. Nick felt joy and didn't even notice how he cut himself. The nanobots healed his wound instantly. Although the wound was deep, there wasn't even a scar left behind. He couldn't stop thinking about his new find. Well, it's most likely just a rock. Aliens. Still, maybe he'll get lucky and find something interesting, like aliens and death. Nick, you're an idiot. At last, the succession of monotonous days would be interrupted. The thought warmed him. Okay, let's go to bed. In the glow of the fiery setting sun, there she stood. He could feel the warm summer air blowing. Although he couldn't see her face, he knew that the girl standing under the tree was Mary, his beloved. He ran to her with open arms. When he got closer, he saw that she was pregnant. She was holding a stone in her hands, and for some reason it seemed to him that the stone was her child. Their child. It also seemed to him that she was pregnant with a stone that was just about to be born. What's happening? The more he thought about it, the more uncomfortable he became. A feeling of nausea was creeping up on him. "Hi, Mary. You're pretty." Suddenly, Mary began to laugh and her face took on a darker, sinister hue. She was laughing at him, and he felt incredibly pathetic, as if it was his fault that she only gave birth to stones. "My beloved." She laughed louder and louder, and at the same time her face became more and more deformed. Her eyes seemed about to fall out of their sockets. Nick couldn't keep looking at her face anymore, but wherever he turned, Mary's insane grin haunted him. Yeah, I mean, that is the face even a mother would struggle to love. This stone is our baby. Our baby. Our baby! Well, Nick, look at it. Isn't it beautiful? This is our baby. Nick looked down and saw a stone under his feet. Veins were coming out of the stone, and in the centre of it lay an infant who did not move or make a sound. Nick woke up, feeling a metallic taste in his mouth. This is bad. This is real bad. Apparently the nanobots overdid the medicine. He'd never had such vivid nightmares before. After awakening, he still had discomfort for some time. Time to get the meteorite from the warehouse and take it to the lab. He hopes the work will help him get his mind off these dreams. Yeah, let's hope so, because that was horrific. Nick took the meteorite. And now Nick went to the lab. Start the scanning process. Okay. Science! Surprisingly, the top layer of the meteorite is warm. Something's obviously heating it from the inside. It's necessary to continue scanning. More science! Amazingly, living microorganisms have been found in the deeper layers of the meteorite. More scanning required. The meteorite is getting warmer and warmer. It's not just a space rock, it's my baby. It looks like there are living organs inside the meteorite. This meteorite is alive. Stunned by such a discovery, Nick didn't know what he should do next. Millions of thoughts swirled around his head. He was both terrified and ecstatic. However, the nanobots in his blood quickly adjusted Nick's condition to calm. He needed to go back to bed. The machine doesn't like to have its logic routine disrupted. Revelation. Nick was sleeping very soundly this time, and he didn't dream. When he woke, he continued to feel tired and couldn't open his eyes. It's so odd, because nanobots have to regulate his level of vivacity, and he can barely move his hand. Maybe they're tired too. Nick grinned at the thought and put a hand over his face, trying to wipe his eyes. Immediately, he felt something completely wrong. Have they healed me? Am I completely kind of sealed? He felt something hard, like bones, pressed into his face. Or am I becoming a stone? Wasn't prepared for that. Did not expect that. Nick's horror was unparalleled. Something had to be done quickly. Okay, well, escaping from the escape pod's not going to do anything because my hand has a mouth on it. I mean, I'm going to do both of them, but what do I want to do first? We'll do cut off the arm. After searching the ship for a suitable tool, Nick could only find a small metal cutting saw. Oh! He was getting sick just thinking about what he was about to do. But it was impossible to delay. New bumps began to appear on his arm, and they were moving higher up the arm. The nanobots in his blood, tracking the adrenaline rush, tried to regulate Nick's condition as best they could. The first incision, and he immediately realised the horror of what he's about to go through. Nanobots instantly heal the wound. This means that he has to cut faster than his arm can heal. Accepting the inevitable, Nick began to saw. Oh no! He stopped clicking. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. I mean, it's not. It's fucking horrible. Finishing the job, Nick passes out. Yep. Hours later, he opened his eyes. Nick took a quick look around his body. There didn't seem to be any new anomalies. It seems to have worked out. Coming to his senses, he contacted the command centre. He was informed that the mission was cancelled and he was returning to Earth. Nick wanted to get rid of the meteorite, throw it back into outer space, but the command strictly forbade him from doing so. He felt uneasy that he still had a long way to go back with that thing on board. He wished he could just sleep most of the way through. However, some sort of knocking began to appear in the vents. What could it be? The ship didn't warn of any damage. It should pass soon, Nick thought. But the sounds only intensified, disturbing Nick's sleep, waking him from his slumber every now and then. I need to go check that out. Oh, space vents! Crawling with one arm was not so easy. For a moment, he wanted to forget about the whole thing and crawl back. But the farther he advanced, the more distinct the sounds were heard. As he approached the object that was making those sounds, Nick froze in horror. Was it my hand? He couldn't believe his eyes. What he saw was like something out of the most twisted nightmares. In front of Nick was his hand, and from the hand grew a woman's head, which was slurping and moaning. Mary? Nick was ready to throw up. There was no doubt about it. A head with the face of his ex-girlfriend, Mary, was growing out of his hand. She looked at him with a cold stare, just like the last time they'd seen each other. Something had to be done immediately. Get rid of that. Get rid of that shit immediately. Nick stood in his spacesuit in front of the airlock. In his hand was Mary's head. Even though he realised that it wasn't Mary at all, but some alien mutant that had taken her form, it wasn't easy for him to let her go. Maybe I could raise a new Mary, and this time we could make it work, Nick thought for a second. He felt ashamed of such thoughts and stepped confidently towards the airlock. Suddenly, Mary's head spoke. She looked at Nick with her blank, expressionless gaze and said, "I'm breaking up with you." Nick froze in terror. He never thought he'd hear those words from her again. The head continued to repeat, "I'm breaking up with you." Nick stood for a while longer, looked at Mary's head. No, it's me dumping you. Nick opened the airlock and tossed Mary's head in there. After that, Nick went back to his quarters. For a while longer, the picture of Mary's face flying off in the black distance stood before his eyes. He stared out the porthole at the cosmic landscape. The black space was bursting with the bright lights of distant stars. Finally, he felt some relief. He looked at the many stars and thought about what lay ahead. Nick dreamed of what would happen when he returns to Earth. Maybe he'd get some kind of reward for taking part in a mission like this and finding the mysterious meteorite. Seems unlikely. Despite all the horrors he had endured, he finally felt like everything was going to be okay. The good ending on my second try? Ooh. Has this just put me back to the hand? Yes, it has. I was worried I was going to have to go through the whole thing again. But this is great. Right, achievements. Okay, so we've got bad ending, keep her, that's obvious. Food ending is maybe if we do nothing with the arm. And escape from the ship, I assume, is just going to be if we choose to run to the escape pod. So let's do escape pod first. Okay, escape using the escape pod, which is such a stupid idea because it's literally attached to me for several months. His escape pod travelled through space until a ship from Earth came to the signal for help and brought him back to Earth. On Earth, he was immediately isolated in a special medical cell. He was prescribed a bunch of tests and his condition was monitored every day. At first, Nick was relieved he'd finally get some help. No, that's not what they're there for. However, he was getting worse every day, and the doctors who took his tests didn't answer any of his questions. Nick was very scared. He didn't understand what was going on. Every day, his body became more and more covered with new tumours and mouths. He was hysterical, screaming, crying. He was yelling with all his many mouths, but no one heard him. Nick had lost all hope. All day long he lay there and cried, and the number of mouths on his body grew. Oh my god. He eventually turned into a biomass of flesh and mouths. The doctor stopped coming. In this state, he was left completely alone. So he lay for several more days without visitors. Maybe they'll decide to kill me, or I'll die on my own soon, he hoped. One day, someone did come. The man introduced himself as James. He was the manager of the laboratory where Nick was located.
Nick, we did all the possible tests and checks, and I've come to tell you everything we've learned. The good news is that you're not contagious. Don't mind the suit, it's just a formality.
That doesn't make me feel any better, James. I'm a biomass of teeth.
In general, this is very, very good news, considering what else we have been able to find out.
James took a long pause.
I don't know how to say it. It's just ridiculous, right? I look ridiculous, don't I? Would you explain to a cow the state of affairs on the farm? Of course not. That's absurd.
A cow? What is he talking about?
But the guys on top, the big shots, they asked me to do it. Anyway, listen to me, Nick. I'll just say it bluntly. We found out that you are very tasty.
I'm sorry, James. Come again?
I understand your confusion, but, you know, Nick, we live in a time that is, how should I put this, synthetic. People have already tried everything in the world. Caught, raised, crossed, and subsequently ate everything they could. Do you know how much effort it took to raise a cow for Wagyu steaks? And now, it's just a regular lunch. They're fed up. Today, people need something real, the bright, rich taste of which they have never tried. And it's you, Nick. You're the unique flavour that everyone craves. Of course, as soon as we learned about your peculiarity, we would immediately begin to grow your kind. Perhaps we would even let you go. But since you left the ship, there was another accident, and we were unable to return this piece of meteorite that made you like this. You know, Nick, you're special, the only creature of its kind, so don't worry. No one will kill you, for sure. And your ability to regenerate and grow new parts is amazing. You're special and amazing, Nick. And you will serve for the pleasure of thousands, maybe even millions of mouths. But there's also bad news.
Is he kidding me?
Given your situation, you could ask to do everything under anesthesia, find some humane way to get your meat. However, anesthesia would spoil the taste of your meat, Nick. It will become tasteless. I'll tell you a secret. It's so delicious because when you feel pain, a special hormone is released. Anyway, it seems like I've said everything they wanted me to say. I'll add it on my own behalf. I wouldn't tell you anything, but the administration, they thought it was better for you than being in the dark and not understanding why you were being tortured like that.
Nick didn't feel any better. Every day he begged the meat collectors to let him go. It was all useless. Over the years of torture, Nick stopped talking. He lost the remnants of his humanity. All he had left is pain and 1,000 mouths to scream. Jesus Christ! That was horrific. Keep her, I guess, is next. Actually, I'm going to try do nothing and just see where that leads first. Do nothing. Nick nervously paced around the various compartments of the ship, unable to find a place of his own. He tried to find all sorts of reasons for what was happening to him. Maybe the ship overdosed him on drugs and he was hallucinating. Nick looked at his hand again, and the mouth was still there. No, hallucinations can't last this long. Maybe I should ask the ship what's happening to me. Ask the ship, yes. Nick decided to ask the ship what was happening to him. After all, the ship has his body under 24-hour surveillance. The ship responded to Nick's request.
After interacting with the meteorites, your DNA structure began to change. It's hard to say exactly what caused this drastic change. Your condition is being monitored. All data is recorded and sent to Earth.
Analysis and observation? Are you kidding me? How do I stop it?
There is no way to stop the mutation process at this stage.
But there must be a way to cure me.
I'm not aware of any.
Then send a ship to Earth, see if they can help me there.
I can't turn the ship towards Earth.
Damn it! Alright then, I'll use the escape pod.
I'm afraid I can't let you do that.
And why is that?
The task of our mission has changed.
What the hell kind of task? I'm mutating. Hello, I need help now.
The new objective of this mission is to observe and investigate Specimen A and Specimen B.
Is the meteorite Specimen A and I'm Specimen B? Specimen A and B? What are they?
Specimen A is a meteorite delivered by Nick Stranger aboard the ship.
And Specimen B?
Specimen B is Nick Stranger.
Nick's vision went dark. He suddenly felt how enclosed a space he was in, and that he had nowhere to run. His heart was pounding wildly in his chest. Noticing this, the ship immediately injected him with a tranquilizer. Waking up, Nick found himself on his bed. He had a hard time accepting the reality he found himself in. Time passed and his condition deteriorated significantly. Oh, that's horrible! More and more mouths and limbs grew on his body. He tried to escape via the escape pod, but the ship wouldn't let him in. He thought about ejecting himself into outer space, but the ship wouldn't let him. It's not even a life. Nick decided to take desperate measures. However, he could only do temporary damage to himself. The ship would immediately heal all of his wounds. No matter what he tried to do, no matter how hard he tried, it was getting him nowhere. At one point, Nick just laid down and started screaming. His body was getting worse. He screamed louder and louder with all of his many mouths, and his body continued to deform, swelling in some places and gaining new limbs in others. Holy hell. Nick's body sprawled further, filling the space of the ship. Even transformed into a monstrous creature, Nick still retained consciousness. He thought back to the good old days, the time when he was human. He remembered once walking on the beach and having a girl he loves. Tormented by his own memories, unable to escape or die, he screamed every day in agony. And 1,000 mouths screamed with him. Jesus. Okay, so that's what happens when you do nothing. Right, so choppy arm off time. Actually, no, before I do that, I'm gonna do nothing but not talk to the computer. I think I had a choice to do that. Cool, yeah, so ask the ship. No. Nick decided not to do anything. He went back to his room and lay on the bed. He lay there for a while, listening to his sensations. He didn't feel any pain, but he felt a kind of heaviness hanging over him from all sides. Gradually he got worse. He couldn't get out of bed. More and more new organs and parts grew on his body. Somewhere on his body, eyes appeared. Somewhere, mouths appeared. Limbs lengthened and became like branches of trees. New limbs grew out of them, on which other organs and body parts grew. His thoughts began to lose clarity and sense. He no longer remembered the good days, no longer worried about the bad ones. He tried to utter words, but instead they were unintelligible sounds produced by his various mouths. The ship continued to sustain life in Nick. It fed him, treating him when he accidentally hurt himself, and watched him. As time went on, Nick stopped realising where he was and what he was. He was very scared, and therefore, with all his many mouths, he was constantly screaming. The cry of 1,000 mouths every day echoed throughout the ship. There was no one to answer it. God damn. So we've got keep her, which I think we know what to do with that. Escape ending and sleep ending. I have an idea with sleep ending. Not sure about escape ending, but we'll cross that bridge momentarily. First of all, arm, gone, crawl, girlfriend, keep. Okay, we are going to keep the alien head of Mary. Nick couldn't get rid of Mary's head, even in this form. He still loved her. He contacted the command centre and persuaded them that he should continue his research in space. Surprisingly, command agreed. Every day he talked to her, but there was only an unintelligible moan in response. He tried feeding it, but the head would not accept water or any regular food. Then, Nick wondered if she grew from his flesh and blood. Maybe she needed it. Maybe he could grow her whole body. And he began to give her his blood while continuing to talk to her. So he's just gone full Little Shop of Horrors. One day, the head spoke. I break up with you. Those words were like thunder. Nick didn't want to believe it. He thought he must have imagined it and that it was just her regular moaning. But Mary's head kept repeating, I break up with you. But why? I break up with you. No, it's not true. I break up with you. I guess we can still fix this. I break up with you. Maybe if I give her more blood. I break up with you. Stop saying those words. I break up with you. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to yell at you. You know I'm not like that. I'm really sorry.
I break up with you.
Alright. You'll be fine. You'll see. It's just a phase. It'll pass, and we'll be together again. Like we used to be. Like that time on the beach, remember? Nick continued to feed Mary with his blood, and she began to get bigger with more and more new heads and mouths. The heads kept repeating it like a prison sentence. I break up with you. It's okay. Someday you'll change your mind. You'll see how much I do for you. Nick continued to feed those heads, but the blood wasn't enough for them, so he started cutting off pieces of flesh and feeding them to the heads. For some reason known only to command, the ship stopped healing Nick. But that didn't stop Nick. He continued to mutilate himself, chopping off bigger and bigger chunks of his flesh. As he lay dying on the floor, he looked at the thousands of mouths that had sprouted up all over the ship. The last words he heard were, I break up with you. Oh, damn. I have a thought about these two. So I think the problem I had before was when I investigated the ship, first of all, you need to interact, I think, with Nick. You need to go find Nick at the airlock, and then you can interact with other things. So I'm going to do that. We're going to sleep and see what happens. I hope this is the right thing to do, because otherwise I've got a bit of backtracking to do. So we did the sleep thing before, but we had investigated the planet beforehand. So yeah, we'll see if this is any different. Okay, so I've just gone straight to the escape pod. As soon as Nick entered the escape pod, the ship's artificial intelligence spoke to him.
Nick, I can't let you go. You have to fix the ship.
Nope, ship is doomed. Let me out.
The primary importance is the safety of the ship. I can't fix the external damage. You have to do it.
I want to go off this damn ship.
I'm sorry. I can't let you do that.
Okay. What if I refuse?
Eventually, the damage will lead to the complete destruction of the ship.
But if the ship is destroyed, then I will die, right?
Absolutely right. The chances of your survival in the event of the destruction of the ship are 0.
In that case, I need to use the escape pod.
Access to the escape pod is unlocked.
Use the escape pod. Yeah, baby! For several years, his escape pod travelled through space. Until one day, along with other space debris, an extraterrestrial lifeform ship took it on board. Oh, hi fellas. These creatures, which looked like overgrown lizards, were greatly surprised by their find. Nick was equally surprised. After studying him a little, the aliens found a use for Nick. He, like other passengers of this ship, will not remain idle. So Nick became a slave. He was sent to the mines on a planet unknown to him, where he performed a simple task of extracting a rare mineral. The aliens made spoons and other kitchen utensils from this mineral. Nick didn't know about that. All he knew was that he had to dig, and if he didn't dig, he would be beaten and wouldn't be allowed to eat. So Nick was digging. I don't think I like being a slave. All day long, practically non-stop, he was digging. He even began to find some sort of solace in his activities. Oh my god! There's too much digging! The monotonous repetition of the same actions carried his thoughts away from this horrible place. At some points, Nick accepted his fate. Oh my god. As long as he was digging, everything was fine. He didn't have the energy or time to think about the position he was in. Ugh. Nick began to worship these crystals. The guardian lizards became his food-giving gods. Nick no longer regretted his decision to leave the ship. He didn't think of Mary. He forgot about that day on the beach. He stopped dreaming altogether. Forgetting his past, he became a biological ore mining machine. However, the lizards were incapable of appreciating his hard work and resilience. He died of lung disease, and his remains were thrown into a cesspool with other bodies of dead slaves. Holy shit. Okay, good. I'm pleased it's put me back here because I think we can now get the final ending by just doing this. Go back to sleep. Yes. The siren continued to make noise, reminding him of the danger, but Nick was desperately trying to fall asleep again. He just wanted to plunge into this dream world. With all his heart, he hated waking up in this place. It was only in dreams that he could find his peace. He didn't want to open his eyes anymore. Even if it was all an illusion, just dreams, he wanted to stay in them forever. Nick persisted, hugging the pillow, just to be on that beach one more time, to see her one more time, escape from this technological prison. Gradually, the sounds began to fade. He started to feel his body floating. Perhaps the gravitational field has failed. The ship was breaking down more and more. It was getting hard to breathe. Suddenly, he was looking at his body floating in the middle of the room, and a blinding bright light appeared from the porthole. Nick turned towards the light and felt the incredible love and warmth that enveloped his whole body. He began to fly towards the light and left his ill-fated ship once and for all. Somewhere up ahead, he could hear the sound of waves. The end. Okay, so that's all the achievements. Done and done. That was really good. That was a great short little thing. So it's only taken me literally just over an hour to do that. So that is not too bad. I really enjoyed this. The writing was a little rough around the edges at some points, but the story, like, they did not fuck around with the body horror. Like, a lot of games will say that it's body horror and then it's like meh, but this was full-blown body horror. There were a few moments in this that made me genuinely feel just horribly uncomfortable. The checkpoint system was good as well, to save you having to go through everything, like from the very beginning, which is good because you can't skip sections, so that probably would have added like an extra hour onto my playing time just skipping through. But yeah, this is really good. You should play it and support the indie developers. So, if you don't want a mouth growing in your hand, then you should probably hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Probably isn't going to stop that happening if that's what you're fated to have, but, you should do it anyway. And until next time, love you, bye.